Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Whales of Wall Street. Today we are going to be talking about one of the most insane projects that I absolutely love. I'm very much into things that are related to the World Economic Forum. I used to get scared by them. Go check them out. Agenda 30 and Davos and all this stuff. But now I just see it as an advantage of an opportunity to go, do you know what? The world's messed up. It's continuing to do so. Follow the money. Follow what they're doing and you can win. EWT Energy Web Token, EWT, that you find on the exchange. I get mine personally on KuCoin. Go check that out. We will go into the chart towards the end of this video, but a couple of updates here from the last week or so. I haven't done a video on EWT for a while and I need to do more of them as soon as possible whenever I can. So very much around the climate change. The green aspect of crypto, of course, is a big discussion, big topic point at the moment, especially with the likes of Bitcoin always being in the boring news about doing this, not doing that, being environmentally unfriendly, blah, 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 all the nonsense FUD. Of course, yes, they can improve massive mechanisms of mining, etc. But it is what it is for now. You could go into arguments about real gold in the real world, how that was mined and how much that contributes energy-wise, blah, blah. But today we're talking about EWT in a positive fashion of green solutions. Now, one of the key aspects here, so Filecoin, obviously a gigantic project, File. This was quite interesting. So I'll emphasize what this kind of means in a moment's time, but the partnership is phenomenal. So these guys, EWT Energy Web Token, are basically helping. This is the great thing about this project. I get so passionate when I talk about these things, like what they can do. We'll go into a few of the spectrums of why EWT is so important to the world and other ones as well. We've covered power, POWR, and there's loads of other ones around energy as well. We did cover a few of those in the previous videos, so do go check those out. But I'll touch upon a couple of those things for people that perhaps missed out on those or don't have time to watch the other one, so they get a bit of an understanding of this. But these guys are also, as well as the application of real world examples, helping other projects become more sustainable, whether that be to the project directly or perhaps projects involving the people who are mining or staking or certainly validating and things like this. So here, for example, helping with the storage providers, so i.e. the miners, helping them purchase your renewable energy via Energy Web Tokenomics. Okay, so it's really cool to help them become more renewable, emphasis, more sustainable, more energy efficient, becoming arguably, I believe, like majority of the cryptos that succeed over the next few years, because they always say like there's over like 8,000 odd assets, right? And a load of them will disappear because they're either terrible, they're just memes or nonsense things, or they don't fit regulation. Okay, and that regulation comes from two things. One, of the adaptability in the financial world to be fair, trustworthy, load of confidence through the government, etc., to back it. We've seen things like the SEC and Ripple and all this other nonsense, and regulation is good. Okay, we don't want to get stung. We don't want to get people wrecking their lives and savings and this and that and other. So understanding is important, and that needs to come from companies, right? But the other aspect of regulation is going to come from the green aspect. If you do not know what Agenda 30 is, I recommend you go on the UN website and download the document. It's about 500 pages long. Yes, 500 odd pages long. I've read most of it. I read most of Agenda 21, both of which everyone says is conspiracy theory. Well, they're not. You can download them, you can read them. They're true, proper projects. The only thing I will say about the conspiracy side of things is some people take it a bit too far, or they don't understand the process and the concept of humanity. And actually, things do need to change. Whether you go down the route of what's happened in the last year or so, or whatever's to come, it's pretty much outlined in this agenda, and it links well with the World Economic Forum, the Davos agenda, which they put together every year. I think $400,000 a ticket. So this isn't like your general Joe blogs off the street going to these events. These are proper influencers, tech, professors, scientists, politicians, all these people that basically have so much money, don't know what to do with it. So they thought, do you know what, we're going to play a game. We're just going to run the world, decide everything for everyone. Everything pretty much. You think like politics, like I'm just going on a bit of tangent here, but if governments, you think they're in charge, they're not. Prime ministers, presidents, they're just spokespeople for the people above them that pay the bills. Okay, and most of those people are part of the World Economic Forum. Do your research, Go and check it out and you see what I mean. This is why I'm so excited about crypto, because I thought, oh God, universal currency, oh no, they're going to mess up the world. But I actually thought, do you know what, I'm going to make money out of this. Sod it. Leave the system one day. Who knows? But anyway, back to this point. One of the key aspects of the Agenda 30 program and the World Economic Forum, and of course general advertising, you see it more and more, by the way, this whole climate agenda is part of Agenda 30, telling you now. And it's massive. The projects available in diversity, sustainability, agriculture, financial changes. Of course, we're looking at blockchain, and a lot of more of that is coming into play. We'll go on to that in a second, by the way, because EWT have just recently done a publication for the World Economic Forum audience, which is phenomenal. But back to Filecoin, this is really interesting. So helping basically these guys become more transparent, become more efficient in the way that they utilize their own blockchains and technologies. Okay, so it will allow our renewable energy use to be tracked and verified. What do we mean by that? Well, we'll go into that in a bit more section in a minute. This DID, decentralized identifier, you're going to hear this kind of buzzword a lot more as we go more into green crypto and things like that. But basically trying to help towards that zero carbon status, or carbon neutral, or certainly as near as possible to it as we can. So there's loads of really cool things about that. Go check this article out. It's on the Energy Web Insights on medium.com. And on that note, let's go back into this as well. Harnessing artificial intelligence to accelerate the energy transition. So this is created as a white paper by EWT for the World Economic Forum. Absolutely beautiful presentation in here. Some fantastic knowledge, fantastic information, particularly around AI of energy transition. We'll go on to that in a second. But really picking out about responsibilities, sustainability. I think there's some words here I've just mentioned. Sustainability and things like this. Education, of course, very important to ensure people understand what is the purpose of this. There's no point scaring people with white papers and agendas. Tell them why. Tell them what you're doing this for. Here's an interesting thing: transformation of global power systems. 2020, obviously got a lot of power plants still out there. Of course, renewable energy is kicking off. In fact, in the UK here, we're doing quite well, I think. Majority of our energy, including mine and my home, now comes from renewable sources, solar and wind. We've got massive solar panels down the road. We've also got wind turbines left, right and centre around the UK. If you were probably to fly out too low, you'd probably blow back inland, because there's so many turbines everywhere blowing around all over the place, which is great, of course, for energy. So look, just a couple of things here. So to emphasize why EWT and other crypto assets involved in energy are important, you need to know the background. Okay, so electric vehicles, for example, and it's not just about energy for your house. It's obviously energy efficiency for things that are coming in the future that will depend on these kind of grids. Okay, electric vehicles 2020, 12 million. Electric vehicles by 2050, 836 million. It's phenomenal. Renewables, 12 volts versus the 1.5. So you get the picture. The growth pattern of energy renewables is very important. But what's going to help this? What's going to help us be more efficient in this energy sector? Okay, so the type of EW token, which we've spoken about in previous videos, but like I said, I'm going to touch upon this for those that haven't got time to watch the previous ones or just want a bit of a breakdown. The whole economics of the tokens, not just to obviously help other projects, but to help anyone and everyone, utilizing the EW token to essentially transfer potential grid opportunities from their home to others when not using it. So they could potentially make money off this. Okay, so this principle is also similar to one of the AI projects we mentioned previously with IoT and IoTX, and also some other ones where you are if you're not utilizing your full GPU processing of your laptop or your PC, you can put that back onto blockchain and someone else can buy that space of processing off you. It sounds mental, right? But this is what blockchain enables you to do. Okay, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's the same principle with EWT and the renewables, okay? So let's say, for example, you've got your set bills, etc. And this month you haven't utilized everything that you could have done on the grid. So you go, okay, well, do I save this, keep it going? Or do I go, actually, to do with money this month, I'm going to sell my excess energy back to the grid. It's similar principle like with the solar panels at the moment. Our government in the UK at the moment, I think it might have stopped now, but they had an incentivization to encourage people to get solar panels, and then over a period of time they would actually get money back from it because they're powering the grid, right? So we're all trying to create this ecosystem, this sustainable ecosystem. The thing is, right, that logic is now out of date. believe it or not. It's still progressing, it's still encouraged, and that's pretty much probably what 99% of the UK and other countries who have similar programs think that is what the whole grid system is. Incorrect. Next thing now completely is blockchain. EWT aspects of tokenomics, these kind of tokenomic aspects, in the sense that you can buy and sell, you can do it. The most important thing is decentralization. Okay, you go back to the point of what is centralization versus decentralization. Centralization is you are basically operating amongst a company or a service, and you can't really do anything about it. You just decide what you're going to pay each month, right? But for example, like Sky Broadband, which is terrible, by the way, that shuts down. There's no economic tokenomics or anything like this, or any blockchain that can go, oh, Simon's ran out of internet, how can we help him out here? Let's divert something around it and back to him. No, I get shut off. If I don't pay my bills, I get shut off, understandably, of course. But if I have a problem with Sky and I'm in a contract with them, I have to fight every man and his dog to go and get that cancelled, right? But the tokenomics section gives me power. It gives me power to decide what I want to do. Actually, I don't want to give my money to you, electric company. I want to give it to the other one, or I want to give it to my next door neighbor. In fact, I own this. I own this energy asset, right? Through the tokenomics aspect of the blockchain and the energy provider. But actually, I can distribute it however I want, whenever I want. Okay? So there's all that aspect. It's like carbon stocks back in the day, but more legitimate. Okay? But it's the same principle, moving away from a centralized system to decentralized. Let's say someone down the road's got a power cut or an issue with their energy. You can divert that. That's the whole point of peer-to-peer. It's removing the aspect of that whole linear aspect of encouraging energy and everything through one line horizontally. Instead, you have a multitude of nodes, you have a multitude of ways around, ways of getting out of the problem. How does AI help with that? Because now humans, we don't want to sit there and go, yes, what's my energy consumption? So, yes, I might manually put some tokenomics over here or some energy stock over here to someone else. AI does that for you now. We talked about AI projects over and over again. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. IoT, yeah. If you think about electric cars, we were talking about like IoT project. If you haven't watched that video, watch it. I'll put a link at the end. Phenomenal. IoTX, very similar. IoT project, for example, takes that aspect of your car, your battery in the car, when you eventually get an electric one, not consuming all the battery power it needs, but someone else really needs it. But you're not near any like power station or anything like that. But because tokenomics, you can then transfer that across as an asset and give them power or the money aspect to do it, thus providing a more fairer, sustainable, efficient ecosystem. Okay, because it's all about the improvement of humanity, moving together as one, not as a competitor, not as why should I do that for you? It's just the tokenomics of it. It's beautiful, and hopefully encourages more better humanity aspects to life. And I think that's beautiful. And it's the same with EWT, with the energy consumption aspect. These companies, these electric companies, being so greedy, and more companies that are building the solar panels, wind turbines, will start switching off from these companies. They will go towards a more decentralized system where actually they can have more direct relationship with you and I can have more relationship with them, and the principle of doing what we want with our own money and assets. That is what decentralization is about, and that's why I love this project from the energy aspect. I love it because of the decentralization, and I love its abilities in the green space, which is really important to my heart. Environmental impacts of this world, the climate change. Yes, of course, some people think it's conspiracy theory, blah, blah. Some of it, of course, is exaggerated for the agenda, for monetary changes, for changes in lifestyle, changes in ecosystems in the world. Sometimes you just have to take yourself out and go and accept that people bigger than you, elites, powerful people are much, much bigger. You can't do anything. You just have to accept and do the best you can. And that's exactly what they put together, is this big whole project, climate change and everything like this, that we will have to adhere to. Eventually, 5-10 years time, you will probably be forced to have an electric car. They won't allow you to drive them anymore. And you have to think, oh, well, that's not fair. I should be able to do what I want. Well, actually, the world is bigger than us individually. Yeah, you have to think about that. So that's why I love this project. Okay, I know I'm waffling on, and for those, I'm sorry if you were just there for a chart, but I really found it interesting. Before we go into chart, a couple of things. Do check out their website, really cool stuff, and keep an eye on their Twitter as well for all the awesome other updates. One key aspect, I think tomorrow or Friday, depends on when this video actually gets out, because my internet's terrible. I did mention Sky are terrible. Check out this. I don't know if it's live that you can watch it or anything, but there's a speaker from Energy Web Foundation Global Markets lead, Doug Miller, who is talking at this really cool thing, GBB Council's Blockchain Central UNGA in New York. Tune in Friday 2 p.m. EST. I will definitely sign up for that. Decarbonizing crypto, massive topic. So I thought I'd end the topic of EWT and green crypto on that aspect. Let's go into the chart, guys, before I bore you to death with more energy knowledge. Before we do that, please make sure you like this video, found informative, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and press that notification bell if you want notifications of all the awesome videos we have coming your way. Now I've got that out of the way, let's go to play in the chart. So quite a big interesting movements over the last couple of weeks, certainly from the last time we watched it. I've advanced the chart slightly so it's a bit more interesting. Probably still don't know what I'm talking about half the time, but here we go. So a couple of instances here. I wanted to emphasize this point, this triangular movement here, this mountain. We had a 80% increase from this point on, and then a good drop from that point to this point here, which was you can't see it really. It does go down to this line on one particular day, and that was actually 40% reduction, but actually wasn't as bad as we thought. So there was that piece of correction. We had a bit of an uptake here on the 2nd of from the 31st of August up until around the 6th of September. Okay, so a lot of announcements came around this time, and I do believe that's why we pushed up, but we couldn't quite secure the support line at around the $13 mark, 13.5 I'm going to call that, to be honest, towards 14. So it cancelled out at $14 pretty much bang on those 2 days. So we've seen a lot of resistance there. That, along with the stupid Bitcoin day, made a massive rejection point back down to these levels. Now these are critical because even in the past we haven't really had too many options of resisting and support levels. Okay, we did some massive movements here, and this is probably why, again, with the rest of the market we had the big major decline over that couple of months period. Okay, so the previous all-time high, which is fantastic for EWT, was sat at around, I believe, $23.5-ish dollars. So we're currently sat at $11.3. Okay, so we're very much around the halfway mark, and we did, as mentioned back here around 20th of August, we did get up to that sort of potential around $15-16. Okay, so it's really good momentum. Profits were taken, understandably. There's a lot of volume, by the way, a lot of volume daily going into this project, right? And I do believe one day that this is going to have some kind of mental partnership with the likes of Tesla or Elon Musk or something, because it's just phenomenal. You know, green space, crypto, energy, batteries, all of this stuff going onto one tokenomic economic system. I just can see it happening. I can really just see it happening. But those are looking to try and have some potential buy opportunities from this point. The only one I would really realistically put in here, in my opinion, was around that sort of $9, tracking down to maybe 8.5. I don't really anticipate at this point us going down that low. I think we're entering a position now where we're starting to tail back off. The histogram is showing a pale red now, which indicates that the selling volumes are reducing. The MACD is slowly narrowing, albeit we have seen that before and we changed that a bit. But I do think that we're going to start seeing a switch. And I do anticipate the next 2 weeks, as we approach the end of September, we will have a full switch back up to the upside, where we can start testing those $15-16 areas, so that when we get to October, I'm anticipating this now, that perhaps by the middle of October, and certainly the third week of October, we may be starting to push towards that all-time high again. I know it sounds a long way off, but trust me, it goes very quick. And there's lots of movements to be had, lots of wave movements up and down in that period of time. Lots of rises, lots of profit taking. It's totally normal, totally healthy, totally good for the system and for your gains. So that's the only real place I would think. I was tempted to put one a bit lower, at potentially one of these lower areas around about 7 cents. And in fact, I will put a line there to remind myself in the next video, in case the movement start moving there. So I'm going to go around the $7.2 as a potential opportunity, and slightly above that. In fact, I'm going to scrap the 7.2. I'm going around here because I've seen a good line of movement around 7.589. Okay, that's where I'm going to put a buy order in myself tonight. That's not financial advice, that's my opinion and my thoughts around this. So I'm going to have two potential buy opportunities. I did buy a load more around that $5 mark because I bought some stupidly at like $16 or something way back, and I was like, this is amazing. And I still believe, actually, to be fair, that's a fantastic price, not just for this run but for the future. But to have it come back down to 5, I was like, there's no way I'm missing out on that. So I've got a bag load of them and I'm ready. I'm happy to enjoy this ride, whether it be for this year, for maybe some profit taking and reaccumulating, or for the future. Either way, I'm happy with this project, and the next 5-10 years in energy is going to be gigantic, especially as we approach that Agenda 30 date. Okay, so keep that in mind. Last other resistance points that we've drawn in here are currently at around $11.72. So we have had so far today a rejection on that. We've also had a rejection around that area pretty much all week, or when I say all week, I mean the last sort of 7 days. So between the timings of around the 8th of September to today, with the exception of yesterday, which dropped quite low, we have managed to try and push around that $11.50 to try and push towards 12, but it's just not happening. So this is where I'm seeing an interesting move in the next 48 hours, to be honest, because we need to start penetrating that level. If we don't penetrate that, we're going to maybe see a bit more sideways movement, and that's when I think we might see the drop. Okay, the RSI has been quite low recently, around 48 or so, 46. There is an argument to say that it's probably not low enough, and we might see a bit of a flip side down, a small wave down to that 42 mark, which will probably take us down to that kind of mark before we can see a major upside. So that's a good thing, because it confirms the lower regions before we can start moving up. Because otherwise, if we move up, we do it too fast and we don't get the proper support levels, we'll just end up wrecking ourselves, and it will just keep dropping, and then everyone lose confidence and we won't get anywhere. That's the whole point of it. We also got to understand the tokenomics aspect, that people are utilizing this in Australia, and it will be driven out worldwide as time goes on. This tokenomics aspect isn't just affecting the price point of the chart in terms of its supply and everything, and more importantly, its usability. People will be buying it to use it. Okay, it's not just a trading platform like I'm using it currently. People will be using this as a real world solution. So this is really important to consider for the future. So once we break that $11.70 mark, I think the next barrier we're going to see is 13. So this is really important part, because we're at the very low end of our previous channel funnel that we put in. So it's really make or break, in my opinion, next 24, 48 hours. And if we can't break this resistance level, we may drop down to the lower regions to test those areas, okay, before we start correcting back upwards. And also it will shake a load of people out as well. So let's keep an eye on that next 40 hours. If we can break that, I think we will start pushing back up to that $13.12. By the time we get to around October time, I do believe the momentum of market in general across crypto will be pushing upwards anyway. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I think it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, we'll start seeing stabilization in a lot of projects. And as we go into October, I truly believe we're going to start the beginning of the really sensational run over the next 2-3 months for sure. So of course the all-time high, as we mentioned, $23, we're still quite far off that. So my key points, 11.7 and then just over $13. Those two are critical before we start pushing up to around 15. When we cross the 15 line, which we've had rejection on a couple of times in the past, we can then start pushing towards that big 20, get that support in 23. So that's where I'm seeing it going in the next maybe next sort of four to 6 weeks, getting towards that area up there. I'm not anticipating us to get back to the all-time level anytime soon, but certainly maybe 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks from now. So maybe mid-October, around my birthday, just mentioning, for that to happen. So guys, let us know in the comments below what you think of EWT. And let us know what your price predictions are. I truly think that we can definitely get to at least $50 in this run this year. But I might be suggesting, if adoption continues and these great things of white papers and the aspects of knowledge around it, we might be pushing towards that, maybe $60-70. I truly believe that. And I think the long run, I haven't got a price prediction in my mind, but this is going to be one of those ones that flies up and no one's talking about it, and they're because they were too distracted by other things. Always diverse your portfolio into many different sectors. It doesn't all have to be about cryptos and particularly blockchain in general. Have a look at the real sectors that are going to make a difference in this world. That's why I love IoT, I love AI, and I love energy. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you at EWT on the moon, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.